Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Great Western Trail. In the game of Great Western Trail, you are a rancher who is repeatedly herding your cattle from Texas, down in the bottom right-hand corner, up to Kansas City in the top left-hand corner. The rancher who manages to get the largest herd or the best valued herd up to Kansas City the most times will very likely win the game. Your herd looks like these 4 cards. As you move along the trail, you'll have opportunities to cull the herd and get rid of some cards and then bring others back in so that you can get the highest possible value out of your herd. Your starting hand will only have cards of value 1 or value 2, but you're only able to, once you get to Kansas City, count 1 of each type of cow. So I've got 1 grey Jersey there, I've got 1 Dutch belt of the green ones, but I have 2 black Angus. Now those 2 black Angus mean that 1 of them will not score. So my hand currently only has a score of 5 on it. When you get to Kansas City, you'll notice that these other cities that you're going to be putting the herd onto a train to be delivered to all have gradually increasing numbers on them. Those numbers are the numbers that are represented by your herd. So the herd I showed you before that could get up to 5 is able to get to Wichita. If I could get a 6, I would be able to deliver to Colorado Springs. You are only going to be able to deliver to each city once per game, with the only exception of Kansas City, which you can deliver to as many times as you like, and San Francisco, which can also be delivered to as many times as you're able to. Noticing that that San Francisco will give you 9 points for every time that you've delivered there, as indicated by this marker here. And Kansas City, you will lose 6 points for every one of your markers or every time that you've delivered there. When you deliver to a city, you'll take 1 of the markers off your own player board and place it on the city to show that you have delivered there. Now, when you go to Kansas City, you'll also get 6 coins as a bonus. The other thing to notice while I've got the camera up close to this part of the board so you can actually see what's going on is that there are negative points on the bottom few and positive points on the top few cities. Now, see these arrows? They mean that once you get tokens into both sides, that's when you'll actually get the points. If I've got a token in only one side, I won't get the points. This is saying to take some bonus cards, and as we come down, you'll take the bonus cards straight away, but it's -3 points. Whereas if you're here, you're not going to get any negative points off that, unless you happen to accidentally take Wichita. Now, if on my journey I've been able to get a certificate or 2, I will be able to use 1 of them to add to my cow value, or my herd value, which I was talking about before is 5. So if I'm trying to get to that 6th city, which is Colorado Springs, I could spend once I'm up at Kansas City, I could spend 1 of the certificates to turn that into a 6, and I'll get paid the 6 coins, and then I'm able to actually deliver to Colorado Springs. Now, the other thing to notice up at the top end of the board, once you're at Kansas City, is there's a train line. For every one of these red crosses that your city is on the other side of from your own train, you will pay a coin. So if my train is sitting here and I deliver to Colorado Springs, there are 3 red crosses or stop signs, so I will need to pay 3 coins to deliver my herd to Colorado Springs. However, if I'm here, Colorado Springs is behind me, I pay nothing. So there will be opportunities for you to move your train forward as you work your way through the trail. There will be opportunities for you to cull your herd. Culling the herd will usually look like take 1 card of a specific colour out of your herd, which in this case I'd try and get rid of this extra black Angus that I've got. You take that out, you do the rest of your turn, and then at the end of your turn you deal yourself 1 new card from your fresh pile. You have a discard pile here, and now with that extra white card, I've now got a full complement of 7 points, and so I wouldn't have to spend that certificate when I get to the top. Once you do get to Kansas City and you turn your herd into money and move your train along and send your herd to a city, you'll select one of the tokens that has a white background, which is all the ones down the left-hand side of your board, or this one over here. You'll select one of them and you will place it on, for example, Colorado Springs. To show that you've made it to Colorado Springs, you're not able to deliver there again, but what you've also done is you've opened up a secondary action on your own player board. The hand that you put onto the train, or the herd you put on the train, now goes on your discard pile, and you'll take 4 fresh cards, and so gradually move through your deck. Once your deck runs out, you shuffle your discard pile, and that becomes your draw pile again. And at that point, to start your next turn, you bring your meeple back down to the starting point at the bottom right-hand corner, or back to Texas, if you will. That's the basic essence of what you're trying to do in the game. The other things that you need to bear in mind, there's a whole bunch of cows down the bottom here which have higher values. So value 3 cows, there's 3 different colours of them, a value 4 cow and a value 5 cow. You want to get them into your herd because that's the only way you're going to be able to deliver much beyond Santa Fe and Albuquerque. You will be able to hire people which are marked by these cards just here, and they'll come down onto your own board. There are points if you can get more than 5 or more of them total, so it's worthwhile hiring as much as you can. You'll notice there are gaps around the board. Those gaps are for you to build your own buildings, which are these guys, and when you build them, you'll pick one of the gaps and place the building on there, and that becomes a new tile. Why are the tiles important? Because every player has only 3 movements. So if I was to start at the beginning, I could go 1, 2, 3. Each tile is a spot. I go to 3 as a maximum movement. I'm allowed to stop at 1 if I wish. When you stop on a card, you will action all of the icons. The cards are split up by a line. You can do either of those, or both of those, or none of those. If you choose to do none of those actions, you will have a chance to do the actions that are on your own player board. So you start with just the 2 actions possible, but once you remove one of these tokens, you might have doubled your ability within one of those spots. I'm going to go into the iconography in the second video, so please don't stress on that at the moment. It's fairly straightforward once you understand it, but it takes a little bit long. I don't want to go too long on the first video. Just know that everything that's on the card, you're basically able to do everything. The only time that you have to make a choice is when there's a diagonal line, and then you choose either the top or the bottom, but you still get to do the right-hand side. Other things to be aware of on the board are there are these hazards here, 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 and Indian counters here, which will eventually end up there and along this trail as well. If I wanted to move to this card or tile space along the bottom track, this is one spot, this is a second, that's a third. Every single tile, no matter what it is, counts as one of those 3 tile movements that you have. Whenever there is a black hand on the card, on the tile, you will pay the bank. In a 2-player game, you'll pay the bank 2 coins. If there's a green hand on the tile, you'll pay the bank 2 coins as well. As you go up to higher player counts, the black hand, so in a 3-player game, the black hand will be worth only 1 coin to be paid, while the green hand remains as 2, and in a 4-player game, it's the opposite way around. So black hands only will cost you 2 coins, while the green ones will cost you 1. Then there are these tiles that are owned by other players. So if yellow lands on a yellow tile, he can action that tile. If any other player lands on that tile, because there's a green hand there, that player will have to pay the yellow player the value of the green hand, which in this case is 2 coins. The white player will not be able to action what's on that tile, but will have to do one of their own board actions that are available to them. It's the same if you do end your turn on a hazard, you'll need to do one of your own player board actions. So other than the iconography, the only other thing to be really aware of is that this is very much a point salad when you get to the end. This is the scoring card. This is the various ways that you can score points. So that's just bonus points that come from having either this tile for being the last player or for clearing your counter off that. So wherever there's a shield, there's points. There are points for having the number of employees that I was talking about before. There are points for these tokens up here. I'll go into them later. There's shields on them, and you'll get endgame bonuses from these cards, and everyone starts with an endgame bonus. Be aware that with these endgame bonuses, there's a negative value on them. So if you take this endgame bonus and don't achieve it, you'll have to pay 2 points rather than gaining 3. And if you achieve it, obviously you get the 3 points. You'll notice there are points on the bottom of these cows. So every card that you get into your herd, no matter where in your herd it is at the end of the game, so it could be in your discard pile, it could be in your draw pile, it could be in your hand, you get all the points of what you've collected into that pile. There are points for clearing these hazards, as marked on the hazard tiles. There are points for claiming those spaces at the top. I'll talk about how to claim them in the second video. There are points on the top end of the cities that you've delivered to. There are points on each of the buildings that you have personally built, and there's 1 point for every 5 coins you have. That's a lot of stuff going on. Don't get too stressed about it. Just know wherever you've got a shield with a number, that is points. So that everyone knows what's going on. Okay, look, I'm going to leave it there. Go on to watch video 2. So, of course, I'll talk through all the iconography so you can understand exactly what's happening. I think with games like this, where there's a lot of iconography going on, it's very difficult to explain all of the markings because people have turned off by about the 3rd or 4th because there's just too much to take in. So I'll go through them all for you, but if you can give the basics of it to get the game on the table and then give more in-depth answers to what the icons mean as you're going through the game, you'll tend to find the game runs a lot clearer and a lot smoother. The only thing to be aware of is the very first turn, you get to choose where to place your meeple and you action that particular tile. So everyone doesn't start down the bottom. You could start on the last tile if you find that you've actually got a hand of cows that is going to give you a really good score without really having to do anything. But in the same breath, you could start anywhere on any of the tiles that you wish. I hope this helps you get Great Western Trail to the table. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. Go on to watch video 2 so you can get a real good idea of the icons. I don't think you're going to be able to actually play it without the icons, but I don't want this video to go too long. Subscribe to my videos so you can keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter to see what games I've been playing. If you have any games that you wish to be gamesplaned, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. And until next time, enjoy gaming.